That was Kesha and will.i.am, Crazy Kids, but the craziest of all kids, Sir Michael McDonald on the line. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Thank you. I was just knighted.
Yes, we were having a small discussion off the air that I refer to you as Sir, but then I felt the need to explain that I say Sir, but yet I am not a douche, and you were wondering why Sir and douche, went hand in hand.
Yeah, I thought, it's just manners.
It is just manners, but I think so many people have lost their manners now that when you say sir or ma'am, like I always do, it almost seems either pretentious or like I think people think you're up to something if you use manners these days. And I am up to something called politeness.
Well, I'm fine with it. I was raised to say sir. Good.
I like that. We got to talk about this new movie because I'm seeing a lot of buzz for it, and for some reason, all these talk shows and stuff seem to be focusing all the attention on Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy, when really this is a Michael McDonald film featuring Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy, right?
Thank you for finally pointing out the obvious.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
The ladies, they need the attention. That's fine. No, they're really funny in it. It's their movie, and I'm just glad that all of my scenes are with them. And to sit around and, trade insults with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock all day is a pretty easy job, pretty fun day at the office.
I can only imagine. I mean, Melissa McCarthy, we all know how funny she is. I mean, that's just a given that it's like she's so funny. But Sandra Bullock, I think a lot of people think of as, probably a serious actress, but with a little bit of a sense of humor. I mean, they can get that she can be funny, but in these interviews and stuff, she seems like she's really actually a really funny lady. Is that true?
She's very funny. I think what people forget is Sandra Bullock has been around. She's like a fixture. She's been at it since Speed, which was, like 20 years ago or something. And you forget, wait, she was the star of The Proposal. She's done lots of comedies.
Yeah.
And it's just lately she did some dramas, and now she's back with this comedy, and she is really, really funny in it.
Good. She's so lovable that it's like, when you put those two things together, just the lovable and then funny, it's like perfect. Love it.
But I will say this though too. I know, it's quote a comedy and it's got two girls in it, but there's a lot of action in this one.
Oh, really? Okay, so it's not just like a funny girl, handcuffs.
No, it's more like a throwback, I would say, almost to like Lethal Weapon or really more like 48 Hours. I mean, there's a lot of edgy action in it.
That's awesome.
There's some explosions and car chases and all kinds of stuff, and it's not played for laughs.
Speaking of that, obviously, this scene might have been played for laughs, but it became action-packed. One of the big news, stories from the movie coming out right now is the scene where Melissa McCarthy threw a phone book at your face and ended up nearly breaking your nose. It was, I'm still
not sure if it isn't broken, frankly, and I'll see Melissa in court.
Exactly.
It's a real, that scene was, before we shot it, we were all sitting around and the prop person brings me the phone book. They always, whenever there's a prop or something like that, they bring it to the actress so they could see it. And they handed me a prop phone book, and I just thought that it looked really fake.
Yeah.
And also I kind of thought that it would actually hurt more because it was kind of stiff, it was like made of sort of like foam. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's going to hurt more than a floppy phone book. And Melissa said, well, why don't let's rehearse it. I'm really worried about hurting you. And I was like, no, let's just shoot the rehearsal because, if it works, then, we don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to hit you in the face. I'm worried. And I said, it'll be fine. I know it's coming. Don't worry. If I see it coming right at my nose or my eye, I will turn. I can react, And then they yelled action, and Melissa threw it a lot harder than I thought she was capable of, and faster. And I was so shocked, I just let it completely beam me right in the nose. Oh. And it hurt so bad. I was sure that I had like a bloody nose and a broken nose and all that stuff. But I was so worried that we would have to do it again if I reacted in any weird way that I just sort of sat there stunned, hoping they wouldn't nobody would laugh or break.
Yeah.
And as soon as they yelled cut, Melissa ran to me like she was upset and worried, and when she ran, she stepped on the phone book and slid and hit the deck, and then everyone ran to Melissa to see if she was all right while I sat there with a nearly broken nose.
Of course, that's how it works.
So I knew where I stood. I got it. I got the picture then.
I thought that same thing when I watched the clip from The Lone Ranger where Johnny Depp falls off his horse and is drugged behind the horse. I'm like, I'm sure everybody on that set was like ready to shoot that horse, just like, that's Johnny Depp and he's on the ground. That's how it is with Melissa McCarthy. They're like, Michael's hurt. Oh crap! Now Melissa's hurt. Screw Michael.
Oh yeah, Melissa may have broken a nail. Oh my god.
Yeah, we got to get over there. Well, at least you got the take though. That would have been the worst if she said like, oh my gosh, oops, right as she hit you with it and ruined the take where you actually were injured. At least it got recorded and could. Is that the take they use in the film?
That is the one and only take. And I mean, believe me, there was sort of like a playback element. We all ran to the playback tape area to see, like, can we use it, please? Can we use it? I was praying so hard that we could use it, and luckily we were able to.
That is awesome. You've done so many roles. Obviously Mad TV was big for you, and you've done, guest spots on a bunch of stuff. You've worked in some films now. What do you think you're best known for? I'll tell you on our side what people are referring to, but is there one thing that's obvious in your career that everybody goes to?
Well, I don't know what goes on in people's heads. I can only say what people come up to me with, and that would probably be the character Stuart.
I was going to say, that's all we're getting. Everybody here is just like, oh my God, I'm so excited, I love Stuart. Like, they just put you back as Stuart. Like, they know who you are and like you and everything, I'm sure, but it's like, that's the one thing where they really, like, fall in love with you. Like, man, it's Stuart. Like, does that bug you because that was so long ago, or is that still cool that they remember something from so long ago and appreciate it?
I talk about this in stand-up a lot, about, what it's like to have that sort of be the thing that people come up to you about. And frankly, for me, it's been so long and I'm so used to it. I'm totally fine with it. It's that little weird character bought me a house. So what am I going to do? Be bitter about it?
Yeah, exactly. Shut up.
And also, sometimes I don't know. I got pulled over for maybe a speeding ticket, and maybe I speed a little, and the cop came up to me, grabbed my ID, started walking back to his car, and then he just stopped, turned around, handed me back my license, and said, I can't give Stuart a speeding ticket.
Did you say thank you as Stuart?
I'll take it.
Did you?
Are you kidding? I would have put on the wig and done a whole 5 minutes for him.
Do people ask you to
do the good with the bad?
Do people ask you to do the voice? I mean, does that get annoying? Are people still like, do Stuart for me? I mean, do you feel like a trick pony then? Like, fine, I'll do some Stuart, or do you not do it? Or I feel
like a monkey.
So you still do it. I like that you'll throw that in there if a kid comes up.
I'll throw it in there, of course. What do I care?
I know.
Like I'm doing Shakespeare now? Come on.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you're not at that level yet, which I like. You're at the level of being a funny dude. Before we go, we're running out of time. The movie is The Heat. It looks incredible, hilarious. Sandra Bullock, Melissa McCarthy, Michael McDonald comes out this Friday. What else are you working on, Michael? Anything else you want to plug? Anything coming up after that in the future? Anything exciting?
I'm doing a stand-up tour, so if I'm in your town, come out and check me out. I'm kind of doing the whole country. And then other than that, I'm just I'm going to start going back to directing and acting in television when the season starts up in the fall. It's kind of like school.
Yeah, I like it. You get your summers off. You should definitely come to Billings sometime. We had your buddy Bobby Lee out here a few months back. He came up in the studio and did the show and did 2 nights out here. We've had Chris Kattan was here, and we're bringing some. We got a guy who lives out in L.A. now that's from here that brings a pretty good comedy run through here. So you might have to work something out. If you ever see an Asian guy at the Comedy Store in L.A. that's not Bobby Lee, that's the guy that's bringing comedy to Montana.
All right. Well, I've never been, and I've always wanted to go, so that would be the perfect chance to check it out.
Well, I will hook you guys up. We'll make it happen. But before we see him in Billings, check Michael McDonald out in The Heat that opens this weekend. Michael, you've been fantastic, man. Thanks for taking the time for us, and good luck with everything this summer.
Thank you, sir.
The Big J Show. Weekday mornings from 6 till 10 on Billings' #1 hit music station, Hot 101.9.